Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's February 27th, 2019. I'm in the house, been catching up on some of the repair work that I've had to do recently, and I've been meaning to present the hammer that I've selected recently, a Stiletto titanium hammer. And I want to tell you a little bit about why I spent a lot of money breaking down and purchasing this hammer. It wasn't a lot of money, but they're more expensive than a steel-headed hammer. So a bit of background information. I've been doing construction work. I'm not a professional. I don't get paid to do construction work, although I've helped contractors with their jobs in exchange for them coming over and helping me put up walls or doing a large concrete pour, that sort of thing. But I've been building buildings since I was in my teens, excuse me. And for many years, building a building every year or doing some construction renovation during those times. And I have a whole slew of hammers. And I have some hammers that are no longer functional, some of my first hammers. I have hammers where the claws have been ripped off. I have several hammers where the handles are damaged. I have certainly metalworking hammers. I have sledgehammers, mauls, woodworking hammers, finish hammers, framers hammers, all of those things. And the Stiletto hammer that I'm talking about today is a framer's hammer. And since I'm doing so much rough construction and working over my head so much, I elected to choose a titanium hammer after doing much research. And before I did any research, actually a friend a few years ago during a Thanksgiving get-together, he gave me a Stiletto titanium cat's paw or cat's claw, a wonderful tool for extracting nails out of lumber and doing minimal damage to it and having great accessibility to difficult places to get at. So this tool is really, really handy. I was a little skeptical. Titanium is equally strong or potentially stronger than steel. It's probably almost half as light. I think it's about 46% the weight of steel. And after using that for a couple of years, I realized how well designed, engineered, and how durable that actually is. Where all my steel ones that I've used like this, they all wear down. I'm sharpening them, working with them and all, where the titanium is just like brand new to this day. And so I was pretty much sold on the Stiletto brand. And this, I'm not getting sponsored by anyone for this. I'll put a link in the description below for both this hammer and this cat's paw or cat's claw. But I was pretty much bought and sold on this titanium tool that had been given to me after using it for a couple years, and I elected to go ahead and try and select an appropriate framer's hammer that Stiletto would make. So this ends up being a 14-ounce titanium headed hammer with a hickory, a long handle, hickory handle with a nice curve, so it really holds on very well. So I have quite a fulcrum. One of the there are several advantages. One, it's much lighter, so carrying it around in your tool belt, even the trauma that the handle bangs against your leg is much less. You don't feel it. You're at least I'm not even thinking about taking the tool out of my pouch when I don't think I'm going to need it for a couple of hours, or if I don't think I'm going to be using the hammer for the rest of the afternoon. I just leave it in my pouch. Because it doesn't affect me negatively, the weight or the swinging of it hitting my leg. The other great advantage is I can drive the nails just as well with this hammer, even though it's probably 45% less weight, but I have more mechanical advantage because of this longer handle, and I can swing this head much faster. So the velocity hitting those heads, as long as you're accurate and you're hitting that head of that nail, you're going to drive those nails in just as well. Once you get used to using it, you'll actually extend your range of motion. At least I've found that when using this. I have to be more careful if I'm going to hit my head with the claws if I'm in a confined space. Otherwise, I really can get a much larger range of motion and drive those nails in. So those are two great advantages. But probably the most important advantage is the recoil, or the transfer of the reactive vibration after the impact of the head hitting the nail or whatever it is you're hitting. The vibration, since the vibration or recoil is much less, the trauma to muscles, tendons, and vessels is much less. So people have been framers for years. A lot of them have tennis elbow or carpal tunnel syndrome, and some of them will actually have, I think they call it white tip or white finger disease, which is Raynaud's syndrome. That's Hank moving the gates around. So this vibration being transferred back into your limb creates inflammation around the tendons, the synovial joints, and it can fatigue the muscles. So there's old framers that are taking ibuprofen just to make it through the day to decrease the inflammation and decrease the amount of resultant pain that they're getting secondary to the inflammation. The vibrations can cause vasospasm, decreasing circulation in your hand, especially if you're driving. And I found that when one of my friends who gave me a 28-ounce long-handled steel hammer with a steel handle, as the synthetic or rubber cushion grip on the handle became aged, it didn't have as much spring to it, so all that vibration would come back into my hand and my circulation would be decreased due to vasospasm. As a result of that recoil, the vibrations coming through that hammer handle. So I've been using this quite a bit, and every single job that I've been using. This is a framer's handle, a 14-ounce titanium stiletto hammer with only a slightly curved claw. And they make so many different varieties of hammers, and someday I hope to purchase a finish hammer and a couple of the pry bars as well. They are expensive, so there's a bit of a sticker shock, and when I was younger and I wasn't thinking about my own self-care, taking good care of myself so that I'd be able to function optimally for many, many years, I'd go with the less expensive. I'd go with a $20 hammer instead of a $50 hammer, and that was back then, of course. Nowadays, it's going from a $40 hammer to a $100 hammer. And yes, these are expensive, but I think that if you're someone who's a homesteader, doing your own construction, doing your own buildings and all, and you see yourself doing it more than just one season or occasionally, I'd say I do recommend investing in a titanium-headed hammer at least. The hickory decreases the vibration as well. So the more that you be concerned if you're making a transition because of health reasons, then I would say it would be wise. Now I've got a few cats on this table that this camera's on. Hopefully they'll all get along here. If you've done injuries to your joints and you ache when you use a hammer, especially when you're going overhead, then I'd say get a hickory-handled titanium-headed hammer. It doesn't have to be Stiletto. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just think when I find a really great product, even though it's more expensive, I really will recommend it and all. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I hope I've covered everything that I've thought about talking about with a hammer and all. If you want to know more about some of the other tools that I use regularly, I'd be happy to share my experiences and thoughts over the years as well. So if you found this a video of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you want to be notified when we post more videos, please hit that bell icon. It helps us out if you hit the like, and certainly, folks, don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. Thanks so much, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.